Welcome to Rev Up Your Business with Hilda Gan. We are now in season 5, and we've changed the name and the focus of the podcast. Rev Up Your Business is the podcast for small to medium-sized business owners, entrepreneurs, and HR professionals. Each week, we share tips, strategies, and trends on how you can build success in your business. I share my expertise as a people-centric leader in work culture and human resources. My guests share their expertise in human resources, marketing, sales, finance, IT, leadership, and the multiple facets that you need to take care of your business. If you love to learn and want to find out how you can rev up your business, join us. Welcome to another episode of Rev Up Your Business. We're currently doing a business series on effective business for business owners and HR professionals. During the pandemic, over 4 years, the world was disrupted. 7 million people lost their lives, and over 703 million were confirmed cases of COVID. So what have you done for your business? Have you made changes, or is it the same old, same old? Well, trying to go back to what was 4 years before our lives were evolving and changing isn't realistic, and we need to change. So my fellow colleagues, Dianne Clark and Neil Cosby, are joining me to talk about trends and concerns and changes that have happened as a result of the pandemic. Dianne Clark is a PMP, and she's a leading expert in creating collaborative workspaces. She founded in Niagara, Canada in the year 2000 her company, where she's CEO of Transpire, a service provider of the former program called CDAP, as well as Dianne has assisted countless public, private, and non-profit organizations with strategic growth during uncertain times by empowering leaders with the digital tools and strategies for informed and AI-driven decision-making. Neil Cosby is a HR consulting manager. He started his career as a social worker and became more business-oriented and got involved in human resources because he had a passion for it. He calls himself an HR nerd and has worked in various industries in private and not-for-profit and unionized and non-unionized workplaces. He prides himself on helping create solid HR infrastructure that aligns with overall businesses, organizations, and their goals and their strategies. He has developed many organizations from the ground up using his knowledge, expertise in many facets of HR. Before we get started, I wanted to share with you that this is a conversation based on our opinions and our knowledge in the areas that we're talking about, but it's not meant to be construed as advice. So the purpose is to get you thinking about how you can improve your business, things that you should be thinking about as you're strategizing post-COVID to make the changes that are going to help impact your business, your clients, and your staff. So without further delay, I would love to invite you to join myself and my colleagues, Dianne and Neil. Thanks for coming, Dianne and Neil.
Quite welcome. It's a pleasure always to meet with the both of you. We have such interesting conversations. I'm glad that we can do them in this format.
It's a pleasure. I really enjoy our conversations as well. Very much echo what Diane is saying.
Yeah, I think we have similar backgrounds in some areas and different backgrounds in others, and we complement each other and we make each other better in terms of how we're running our businesses because of our sharing. And today's focus is the buzzword of this period of time, AI, artificial intelligence. And what is it doing to impact our business? We're going to have a conversation on some of the things happening in AI, the pros, the concerns, the challenges. And I wanted to start because Dianne, I feel, is our guru in this area for today. And we're humbly, Neil and I are going to give our impressions and our experiences because we are too getting to be more knowledgeable about AI, as we all should be. So Dianne, why don't you start us off by sharing what is AI?
Certainly. I think what is really surprising to most is that AI is not a new thing. It was actually first developed in the 50s. So think of those old movies that, we used to watch and think this was crazy. Well, they were, really working on AI back then. And really a modern approach to AI is Google. And, 10, 20 years ago, we, Google that. If you Google it, you put a few keywords in and you'll get a list of things. And as Google learned more about what people were putting into the Google address bar, it became more intelligent. And now you can put a question in there. You can put a lot of keywords. You can, narrow down, but you'll still get that same list. That list sometimes is intelligent. Sometimes it's got a lot of advertising in it. It's a mixed bag right now with Google. So the really modern AI is more or less tools that have been created that scrape the internet for intelligence, i.e., lots and lots of articles and blog posts and everything, and now you have a tool that will do that very quickly. And it will, maybe to something that's already stored somewhere, and it will ask the question based on a huge library of information and bring that back to you.
Thanks for sharing that it started back in the 50s. Um,
Yeah.
and I remember attending Collision last year, and I met the the father of AI, Greg Hinton. So that was kind of cool. But I remember when I was in the hospital, still working in the early 90s, and there were these two early adopters, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, this is great," and it was Google, and then they were saying they were getting recipes, and they that seemed really foreign to me. They were really early adopters of it, and so you're going to find people who are early adopters and not so early adopters. Some people still refuse maybe to use it. I'm the Google person at dinner. So when was sushi invented? And there's mom, checking it out. Oh, it was invented in 1700 or whatever the year was. But those were my early experiences with AI. Neil, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, much similar to you. I mean, until Diane pointed out that really we've been using AI, we just haven't been calling it AI in various capacities. I didn't realize that, and so perhaps people's concerns, people's fears that AI is going to eradicate jobs and to some extent take over the world. Maybe it's just we should look at it with, of course, due diligence and with ethics, of course, as another tool in our tool belt that can assist us in business and other methods.
Yeah, you get to get those pros and cons. Some people who are really looking at it from the negative and the woe is the world concept, and others saying, "Wow, this is amazing." And maybe we can talk a bit more about that impact and the challenges and the opportunities aspects of it. What do you guys think are some of those key opportunities? Let's think positive first. What are those key opportunities that this next version of AI that really has people more distressed about than Google implementing itself over the decades into our lives?
You named it a bit to start with, and that was that those who adopt early and who use AI, even if it's in an informal sense, using it just through Google, they say that it's proven 84% say AI will enable them to obtain a competitive advantage. So if you're ahead and you're already using AI in some sense, which most are, then you will have a competitive advantage against those who aren't.
I don't think it's a tool that people can ignore, and they just have to, much like other things, figure out how it fits into their business stream. What can they use it to enhance their organizational effectiveness? Um, as with all things, I mean, it's like if you do a Google search, you're not going to take everything that is written word for word in Google. You're going to take a look at what AI says and, maybe pick out the parts that are relevant. So I really think that it can be a very useful tool to enhance organizational effectiveness in that.
Yeah, even if it gives you a basis to move forward, and so it can help you move faster. If you use a tool, an AI tool, and Google is kind of front back loaded, where it gives you all the sources as a list, where ChatGPT and a lot of tools will give you the context first, the narrative or the text, and then the sources. Hopefully, the sources appear at the bottom. That's something that's important, that you know where that information has come from. But it'll help you move faster if you get an article, a start to an article, then it can help you move faster, and then it'll help you focus on the important things that come out of that article and boost your productivity. So that's really how it can make most businesses get ahead, is using it to get a head start.
I like how you articulate that. It'll give you a head start, boost your productivity. And I'll give you an example. I'm what you call a continuous learner, improving things. Even when I've done something several times to customize it for my clients, I'm always tweaking something. And I'm always curious if there's any new legislation or any new trends that have happened. And in the older days where Google is concerned, I could spend 2 hours doing this little extra bit of research for something I've done a dozen times before. Now I can go to Chat GPT or some other product, and I will put in the header, and up comes all the bullet points in like 2 minutes. Then I can go and Google only 5 articles instead of being lost for 3 hours, enjoying and bathing in all this new energy and information. So it is more productive, and it is clearer and brings you down to earth. So I definitely see the opportunities for people not being replaced, but enhancing me to move further along in the same amount of time.
Yeah. It's also allowed us to use our voice as a command system. Like the Google assistants, the Siri, and
Yeah.
now we can ask questions, and they're intelligently listened to, deconstructed, and then to bring you back what they think is the intelligent answer that you're looking for. And then sometimes you are, and sometimes you're not. But the straight laced question that we asked in monotone, no longer do you need to, because the inflections that you make throughout are also part of the intelligence, or the what is taken into consideration when you're speaking a Google search command, or so that's voice is being used. They say by about 50% of users of mobile devices are using them, to compose their text messages, or to search with Siri or Google, and yeah.
And for those who are less experienced in chat, make sure you ask in details what you want, because the broader it is, the broader the answer. The more narrow focus, they're intelligent enough to give you exactly what you ask for. So be very clear and confining what you want to get the best answer possible.
Absolutely. And now they're allowing you to refine your answers. You can ask as best a question as you can, and if it's not quite what you are looking for, then you can refine or narrow the field. Ask a different question to kind of bring it down, and finally narrow it down to exactly what you want. AI is part of many things. This is one area, but it can be used for other purposes, like image. You can create images. You just ask it to create an image for you. You'd be surprised at what you ask. If you ask it whatever comes to your mind, and you will be able to, it'll supply that. I know there are tools like ChatGPT, where it will give me 10 images that look like the Eiffel Tower, but they're in Vancouver, and it'll compose those those 10 images for you, or it will give you existing images that it finds, like the oddest things.
Yeah, so just to dovetail on what Diane's saying, I think it's no different than also these academic research tools that have been out there for a long time, and it is a wealth of information. What's really happening is we are just redefining, rebuilding, remaking the ways we extract information. And like I said, not to belabor the point, much like we don't take everything for, we take everything at face value with Google. The same as with chat GPT, AI. We don't take everything at face value. We take a little closer look at it. I mean, some of the things that I've used it for HR, yeah, there's been a couple of things that are off. So you just massage it from there, but a very helpful tool.
And that's that whole piece is that think of AI as data, and your brain, your information, your experience is the context to take that data and make it information that's usable. So that's the key, is that it is there for you, but you do have some command. And maybe we should move on to the challenges that there's a lot more of a doom and gloom not a lot more, but there's enough doom and gloom out there. I want us to talk about what are some of those challenges, and maybe if we've got to be able to debunk some of that, that's great. So I'm going to again ask Diane to start this conversation, since we think of you as that much more experienced as Neil and I.
Thanks, Hilda. I'll do my best. There definitely the challenges are fear, because AI, machine learning, it sounds ominous. It sounds like you might have someone behind the scenes who's creating something that's going to think for itself. Someone has to program. Humans have a nature that you cannot replicate into any kind of android. There's just things that cannot be replicated with machines. But there are people who have ulterior motives and are designing things that have bad intentions. But you find that regardless. You're going to find that with AI or without. So there is going to be a certain component of AI products that are not good. But the most of the things are good. The two big things I like to keep in mind are that everything on the internet that's free and available can be scraped. If it's not behind a gate or a wall or a password, username and password, then consider, like bots, they're going out and finding all the information that exists in the free kingdom of the world and bringing it back, storing it as their library to consult when you ask a question. So they definitely sound very intelligent when they have that much information. So know that, anything that you put on the internet without a gate on it is really open to others around the world to reuse as they like. So gate any information that is sensitive or that you have intellectual property value on, gate it behind a username or password. The other thing is make sure that you're citing sources to where your information comes from. That's the ethical piece, is really to support what you're bringing out from any searches, that you can support it with cited footnotes at the bottom that just say this is where you gleaned this information, and that's really helpful to showcase that you were able to find those sources and that supports your opinions. That's what I would say are the challenges to be aware of, is to be ethically mindful when you use AI tools, and make sure you do use a tool that has sources on them, and that you're aware of the pitfalls of where you post, where you're posting things. I think those are the two big things I would consider our challenges.
What about you, Neil?
I think all of those tools that Diane has mentioned are very much necessary. What we're really talking about is, what we want to defer from here is almost like plagiarism. I see that as something, it's kind of an academic tool, but we want to make sure that if you are going to use word for word or for significant chunches from AI, that it is cited appropriately and not as your own work. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't need to recreate the wheel. And I think that the ethical piece behind AI, maybe we need to hone down on that a little bit more to get everybody comfortable. And that is definitely like a work in progress.
I was at a business dinner, get to know each other better. And of course, the conversation came up. So, what do you guys think about AI? And one of my colleagues there is in the IT space, right? And she talked about ethical use and being a responsible user. Like, we all have a responsibility to make sure we're helping define AI so that it is got boundaries and we are ethical users. And somebody says, I've never heard that in conversation, ethical and AI. And I've heard it. And of course, I thought about us and the fact we were going to talk about AI, and you brought it up and said, yeah, I'm worried about the ethical use of this. And I thought, right, there's a risk and a liability associated with it. And so I said, no, I've heard it more than once. And if you want to listen to I'm doing a podcast with Dianne and Neil tomorrow where we're going to talk about AI and this ethical piece for sure. So let us talk a little bit more about ethical considerations and the risk and liability about that.
Well, yeah, I think, when you're, it depends the context that you're using AI tools for. It can help you create a plan. But if you're creating a book or a report or, things and really calling it your own work, your own a lot and a play, you can write a play, you can write a course, all of these things, if they are used verbatim, I mean, and that's the thing. It's people can produce them based on the question. They get better at questioning AI. They're going to get better results, and they're going to even programming. There's enough code out there that can be pulled, and you can create applications that run based on AI. So reusing products and services that are already out there and written work, authoring work, again, calling it your own or reusing it and charging for that. I think that crosses a bit of a boundary. Definitely our shortcuts. That's where AI shines. It does let you have a shortcut to productivity. It'll give you a basis for a book. Might maybe start with an outline with some ideas, and then you build on that. Maybe you consult AI on a topic and research more sources and bring them in. And just like you used to do, build a book, author a book, you do that research anyways. But really, the work is your own in the end. You've written it, you've authored it.
What do you think are the social implications of AI? You just said, write a book, for example, in plagiarism. What is going to happen with the social aspect and AI?
Their social media, for sure, has been impacted by AI in that a lot of what you read, a lot of the advertising, a lot of, is quite repetitive now because it's being it's what you'll see is more and more of the same because AI is being relied on to create social posts, to create advertising, to create and the more, the more it's relied on, the more you're going to get kind of a middle ground that all looks the same because everyone's doing the same thing. So I
So you're
think it
almost
waters
saying that
down.
creativity and
Yeah,
innovation and thought leadership may
yeah,
get diluted when these innovative creative people start using AI and then fall into this kind of sameness, that
yeah.
commodities vacuum.
I do think that we're already there, in my opinion, that there's a lot of very diluted advertising, and it's not specific. And I think that's what I meant, by the other trend, composability. It's that it has to be you have to really be, you have to integrate all your thoughts, whether you use AI, many tools, pull many tools together, but really focus on one thing and make that your own thing that you do really well, whether you're in business or as an individual, because you are losing that thought leadership. We are relying more and more on these tools, and these tools really have the same library for everyone. So
Yeah.
I do. How many times have you done a search? Try this in ChatGPT, and you try that sentence, and somebody else tries that sentence, and they basically get the same results. They're not really that different, the results. So if all you need is the same question. Yeah.
And I think, just to dovetail again on what Diane's saying, is for anybody considering using AI, I mean, education and awareness and how to properly use the tool is necessary to make sure people understand what its capabilities are and what the risks and liabilities are. I think if anything, people are seeing this, seemingly brand new tool and just using it without even doing the research on the research tool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think if individuals, businesses get better than that at that, then a lot of the concerns will alleviate themselves. And just further to dovetail, I mean, I think one of the bigger concerns is now the capability of AI to with cropping photos. And I mean, that's not new. We've been able to crop photos on our phone for quite a bit time, and there's new phones now that can remove like images. Like if you take a picture in front of something you don't want in the picture, you just crop it out. So it's the same thing that it has to be used ethically. And again, I think just a lot more education and awareness on it is necessary.
And I think we need to make sure we are the custodians of this new AI, that we are responsible, that we do it ethically, and that we continue to be learners of what it can and should do. And we're always going to find challenges where people can take a 20-second voice of yourself and now create a whole new image of
Yeah.
you
A deep
having a
fake. Yeah.
conversation, right? So I know we're running out of time, and we were going to talk about the impact on the workforce, but I think we'll cover that in our topic, because we're doing this series and we've got other topics about engaging talent, recruiting talent, and we'll incorporate some of that implications to recruiting talents with the AI piece. We're also going to talk about some automation stuff like increasing productivity through unified communication. That you should listen to. So I'd like to thank Dianne and Neil for joining me today to talk about AI. And join us, give us a thumbs up and like us if you like this series, so you don't miss. Subscribe, because we're going to be talking more and more to help make you think about what is the implications to your business so you can be more effective. So thank you, Dianne, and thank you, Neil, for joining me today.
It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure having these conversations with both of you. And, um, Diane's expertise in this area is insurmountable, and I'm always, leveraging that to find out more. And I really thank her for points today. I've learned quite a bit today as well.
Well, and thank you both too, because leveling me into realistic examples are really helpful and worthwhile as well. Thanks.
I love our collaboration because we learn from each other and we reinforce our learning and gain confidence in messages that we want to send out to people to help them be better businesses. So thanks again. And thanks to those who are listening or viewing us. Remember, subscribe so you'll be the first to know when the next of our series is coming. Thank you for tuning in to Rev Up Your Business with Hilda Gan. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our podcast on YouTube and Spotify to stay up to date with all of our latest episodes. For more HR tips, strategies, and to learn how you can create a people-centric workplace, visit our website at peoplebrightconsulting.com. gmail.com.